Hello, this is my testimony. You ever hear the phrase of, everybody's a black sheep in their family? Well, it came to my attention that no one's a black sheep in their family. But if you are, you ever ask yourself, is why? You ever ask God to clean you with the holy water and see how bright, puffy, and white you are? Here's my testimony. My name is Marco Antonio Aguilar. I'm 33 years old. I'm going to give you a little backstory about me. I was a grandma's boy who took me to church. Her name she never liked grandma. We called her Nene. Um, she taught me how to read my Bible. She taught me how to pray. Always made sure that I say thank you to everything that God has brought to me and bless my family. She was going through pain and I never knew that. And she was suffering. In 2007, God took her, and it was time for her to go home. I turned my back on God. I was upset. I was furious with him. I asked him, like, why? When he, I never got answers. I did a lot of bad stuff. I got myself in trouble, and I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was getting myself into. I never prayed to God. I never asked God for, correct me for my ways. Well, I went to a church for the first time, and I want to say that the church was not for me. So I never went. I want to say when I moved to from Ardmore to Oklahoma City, Life Church was an actual great church that my aunt took me to. That's how met my first love. We went to church. We always talked. We had communications, and we had our first child, our daughter. She was beautiful. Um, I thought we was good. We thought we was soulmates. Well, it turns out that when I turned my back on God again, He showed me some things that I knew I needed help with. I refused to ask for help. We was in a rocky relationship. I didn't pray to God. I just let bygones be bygones. And our daughter, she's perfectly fine. She's beautiful, healthy. I started going my own ways. I refused to pick up the Bible. I refused to ask for help. And I refused to do anything with God. And I suffered for that. I stayed single for a while. My mom just out of nowhere had a conversation with me. She asked me, why are you going to rather just stay single than go out there? I told her, it was like, I'd rather just be safe. She said, have you even talked to God? I never thought it came to my mind. And when I did, I prayed to God. I read my Bible. And that's how I met my second. And she was just an actual great best friend. We had conversations through night and day. We had a real good connection. We had our first son together. When I turned my back on God again, I completely refused to ask for help again. I refused to even acknowledge my problems. And that was the issue. I put myself in a deeper hole. I sat there. My dad came to me and he exactly words was, you turn your back on God, and when you turn your back on God, that's why the storm is in your way. You refuse to tell God to help. You refuse to tell God that you needed guidance. Well, that's when I finally said, okay, I'm going to. Well, God had a good surprise for me, and they were called the missionaries. I called them my brothers. So they would come every Wednesday and Sunday. Every time they come, it was home. It was safe for me. In 2020, when my dad was sick and I took him and he said, hey, it's time for him to go to heaven. The last word I can sit there and say was, I love you. And I didn't know how to handle it. I completely let the devil win the whole situation. I let the devil put me in a deeper hole. I know there was a verse when it said, walking in the shadow of valley of death, I stayed in the shadow. I was letting the devil win. So my grandma and my tias, in English means aunt, completely had a conversation with me. I was drinking, I was smoking, and they were completely, and my grandma did not hesitate to say that you are putting yourself in death and he is about to knock on your door if you do not change. She was afraid that I was about to meet death. So I changed my life. I met somebody, I was married, the marriage didn't last long. Then and my and my suffering was happening again. And I realized when I started losing people left and right, I was letting the devil put voices in my head. I was letting the devil win the game, win against me, was winning the game like he thought it was a game while we was playing basketball. You see in the background. I messaged one of the missionaries on Facebook. I told him like, "Hey, can I talk to one of the missionaries in Ardmore?" And he told me he was getting a pastor. And I called the pastor, and he told me that one of the missionaries are going to contact you. And I will never forget what got me out of that deep hole was a text message saying, "Hey, Marco." That gave me hope. And since then, they have never left my side. They showed up even on my darkest hour. They still sat there and prayed, and they sat there and called me, and they sat there and texted me. They planted a seed in my soul or my spirit. They planted a seed to make sure that I get back to who I was. I was in a deep end that I thought I was going to throw my life away, but then they still pushed me to be better. They pushed me to become the better version of me. They reminded me that Jesus burned my past, to let go and let God. When they kept on telling me that, I finally asked, what does that mean? And when they said was letting go of your past and letting God handle the situation. I have never been 10 times better than I am right now. I'm a lot healthier. I'm a lot better. I'm a lot of a better man. I don't call myself brown sugar anymore because brown sugar was my ego, prideful person. I will never forget for what I done. But I will say this. The first mother of my child and the second mother, I do apologize for my immaturity. I do apologize for me not being the man that I was supposed to be. I do apologize for the people that I hurt. Apologize for everything. This is not the person that you remember. This is not the person that you remember from the past. This is the person that is actually doing better. This is the Son of God. And I want to say thank you very much.